ready.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's your topic, so.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Mogan, joined to my left by Jared.
Oh, wait, what are we doing? Are we doing Team Chit Chat or the episode?
No, this is the Team Chit Chat opener.
Oh, okay.
But
you said Team Chat Podcast at the beginning, so that's why
I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay.
This is my time to shine, Jared.
I'm sorry. I haven't heard. Okay, restart. I haven't heard your opening for it.
This is the official opener. We're going to do this every time.
Fight about it.
We're going to fight about it. So anyways, this is Team Chit Chat,
Hey!
a subsidiary of Team Chat Podcast.
I like that.
It makes it sound more official when you call things like a subsidiary.
Yeah, and we'll just put that in if we ever finally get official art for this, we'll just have that Team Chit Chat in really tiny text.
Subsidiary.
A subsidiary of Team Chat Podcast.
Oh my God, that would be hysterical. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to do. And what I felt like Team Chat Podcast has always historically been missing is more stupid bureaucratic terms.
Yes.
So we definitely need to be amping those up for synergy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you watch Silicon Valley?
No.
There's this the one character in there because it's all about lampooning the Silicon Valley and all that stuff.
They deserve it.
Yeah, and all the tech industry up there and all this stuff, and all the silliness that can come out of that sometimes. And there's this one guy and they're a CEO, and he comes up with this thing called the conjoined triangle of success, and it's just two triangles put together to make a square.
That's really funny.
And it's this breakthrough leadership method that he developed, but the conjoined triangles of success.
That sounds like a real thing.
I know, it does.
Oh my God, you could absolutely, if somebody pitched that in a real business meeting, the suits would all applaud, and they would be
in the show they do,
genius.
and they are all
That's
it's amazing.
Hysterical.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm at least going to try to find that clip.
Yeah, find a
this,
YouTube
that
video of
sounds
that.
Really funny.
It was hilarious.
The only thing that I ever think of when I think about business stuff is that episode from 30 Rock where Jack and Liz Lemon go to some sort of leadership conference.
We just watched this one.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
The Six Sigma or whatever.
It is
conference.
the Six Sigma.
Oh, I love that episode.
And they go to he tells her, asks her to join him for lunch, and she's like, oh yeah, but then it's learning with, it's some acronym.
It's oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Anyway,
episode.
so the point is, business is great. No changes need to be made. Everyone should
Absolutely.
use such stupid terms because it's funny and efficient.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, this is Team Chit Chat, a subsidiary of Team Chat Podcast, a much shorter miniature show that we do not exclusively per se for our patrons, but that is a patron-first show where we basically just have 10 to 15 minutes of Jared and I being able to talk about something that is important to us or fun for us or annoying to us, just, has some sort of impact on our lives that isn't video games.
Yes.
Because we do, in fact, do other stuff.
We do.
Outside of video games. I know it doesn't seem like it. You're probably thinking, how do they have the time? Well, we're just really good gamers.
Yes.
So it doesn't take us that long to get through games like Red Dead Redemption 2, for example.
Nah, just a mere year and a couple months.
An efficient year and a few months.
Yeah.
And in all the spare time we have on the bookends of that, we do other things. So we've previously talked about Sushi Go, one of my favorite games, and the kerfuffle
Kerfuffle's a
around
good word
Star
for it, yeah.
Wars from Jarrett so far. And today we're going to talk about my personal new favorite thing.
Ooh.
Probably not favorite of all time, but my favorite current anime.
Oh, nice.
I am a huge weeb, and if that hasn't come across on the show until now, I've been doing it wrong.
You mean one of your favorite games isn't The Legend of Dragoon, and you've spent,
correct.
I gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I'm a big old weeb, and I love anime, and I've loved anime for many, many, many years. I remember being a wee child and running from the bus stop home to be able to catch the start of, the anime block that would always begin in the afternoon, right around 3 or 3:30 p.m. We would sprint home because that's when all the good shows were on. Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, all the old classics. And then, of course, later Toonami came along, and then Toonami's Adult Swim block, which was their late night evening block, and that's when they did the older kid anime, Outlaw Star and junk, and I was like, this is life. This is what life is about. And I remember Toonami first being premiered, and kids these days don't understand.
Have you seen that they still have and use that same old animation of the the robot in the spaceship to
why
introduce
wouldn't
it?
they?
It's great.
Why
I
wouldn't
love
they
it.
do that? Tom and Lady Robot, She's just kind of like a voice.
I don't know
I
if
don't remember what she's called.
Oh, yeah.
She's
I know what
like
you're talking about now.
She's like the ship.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Like the onboard computer stuff.
The point is, Toonami is the best thing to ever happen to the children of America, and I feel bad for you if you don't live here. For no other reason but that one.
You don't have Toonami.
Only that you didn't grow up with Toonami. So the anime that I want to talk about today is currently streaming across the world. So it's actually one of the few series that I've been watching in the past 15 years that's actually been happening as I watch it, meaning I don't have the ability to binge all of the episodes. It's being simulcast right now, so I watch it on Crunchyroll, and they like release a new episode every week, I think. The point is, it's Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. Have you heard about it?
I have not.
Of course not. I feel
Wait,
like
title is one more time. Keep your hands off.
Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. And Eizouken is spelled EIKOUZEN exclamation point.
Gonna look this up.
And Eizouken, so when I first heard the title, Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, I was like, that sounds like a rom-com anime, which I'm not really into, unless it's like really funny. But if it's just like a dramatic romance anime, that's not really where I live. So I was like, that doesn't sound super interesting to me. But then I saw some stills of the art style, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I really like the way these characters are designed. And then I found out that the word Eizouken actually just means like film club. So it's not actually a person. It's like a declaration of get away from our film club. And it's like, oh, okay.
That's kind of fun. I like that.
Think, so for anybody put off by the title because you're thinking it's probably a romance anime, it's really not, I promise. The only romance happening is the love of the characters for the art of animation. It's really the best way that I can describe the anime is that in a very broad context is that it is a love letter to 2D animation, period.
That's really cool.
It's really cool, and I think I'm 4 episodes in by now. And of course, they're only like 30 minutes each, so it's not like they're really long, but each of them has had such a really great impact, and it's just a really positive feeling show overall. So the premise is that you've got 3 main characters, Asuka, Kanamori, and Mizusaki. And if I'm saying the names wrong, my bad. I am a weeb, and I don't speak Japanese. I do my best. But they are all teenage high school girls. What if they weren't teenage, but they were in high school? That would be weird. Anyways,
conversation.
the point is there are 3 high school girls. Kanamori and Asuka are already friends at the start of the show. And Kanamori is my favorite because she's really tall.
Which one?
And
really tall.
yes,
Okay.
that's her. That's Kanamori. And that's Asuka and that's Mizusaki. And we'll put up a still
we'll put these up.
during the show so that you can kind of, Asuka is the shortest one, Kanamori's really tall, and Mizusaki is air quotes normal sized. But they're all about the same age and they all go to the same high school together. Asuka kind of is I don't want to say main protagonist because I feel like the show really distributes its time to all 3 of them in their own right, but she is the starting point for the show. So when the show initially begins, it kind of has a background on where her love of animation comes from, and it shows that when she was a kid, she was homesick one day on the couch. Her parents had to go out, so they set her up in front of a show, and they were like, here, watch this movie. And they left. And it's this really beautiful moment of she's just kind of on the couch, really sick, like a really young kid watching this movie. And as she's watching the images, it kind of starts to really sink in that, someone made this.
Yeah.
This isn't just a movie. Somebody drew these things and then put them in motion. And she becomes obsessed with anime and with wanting to make animation on her own. So flash forward a few years to high school, and that's still very much what she wants to do. And her key focus that she's really decided to specialize on is concept art. So she's got these big sketchbooks of landscapes and mechanical designs and all kinds of world building is really where Asuka's mental space lives. Kanamori, on the other hand, love her to death, primarily because she's all about that money. She frankly couldn't care less about animation or the art of animation. She's just will it make us money?
She's that producer.
She is. She's literally their producer. So she winds up being the producer of the series pretty much, and Mizusaki, who they meet later, is the daughter of a very wealthy couple. I don't remember exactly what they do. They're either they might work in film, actually. I don't remember, but Mizusaki is actually like a teenage model. So she's fairly famous. Like, people in her school know who she is. They're like, oh, that's Mizusaki. And like, people will come up to her on the street and be like, oh my gosh, it's so great to meet you. So she's really popular. She's pretty famous already. And her parents, don't think that there's any prestige in animation or in anime. But Mizusaki desperately wants to be an animator from a different perspective. She is obsessed with the art and motion of like the human form. Mizusaki's sketchbooks are filled with like figure drawings, people in motion, hands, feet, like detailed expressions. So that's clearly what she's really into. So put the two together, world building concept art and like humans in motion, smash them together and you've got the start of a show. So in the first episode, Kanamori and Asukusa are attending a film screening at their high school's already existing anime club. And they're watching the movie and Asukusa is like really into it and she's trying to like explain to Kanamori what's happening because she's so passionate about it. And then they see somebody like sneak in the back and it's Mizusaki. And then she winds up having to run away because her family's bodyguards are trying to like chase her away from the anime club because there's no prestige in it and her parents don't want her anywhere near it.
Okay.
So like she tries to bust into the anime club to like be able to view the movie, but her bodyguards find her. So they go on like this silly little chase and it's really cute. And then Asukusa and Kanamori follow her because they're like, oh, something really interesting is happening. And also at the time, they don't know that they're bodyguards. So they're like, who are these thugs chasing this random high schooler from our same class? So they run after her and they, kind of learn her backstory and learn that she's not supposed to be in anime club, but that she's really passionate about it. So Kanamori is then like, oh man, I've got these two artists and I have no artistic talent of my own, but I do love money. So they basically like shoehorn it in. They're like, no, we are going to make an anime. I don't know how. We're just going to do it. So the whole idea is they have to pitch their club that they're basically attempting to make to their high school. But their high school administration is like, no. We already have an anime club. What you've described to me sounds exactly the same. We're not gonna give you a budget. You can't make that club. So Kanamori is like, oh, well, it's film. It's a film club.
Gotta lie a little bit. Fudge that truth. Fudge the truth.
Yeah, they kind of fudge the truth a little bit. So they're like, oh no, it's for film. It's a real film club. So they're like, okay, are you gonna like produce a live action movie? And they're like, yes, we are going to do that. And we're going to enter this live action competition that's on the wall over here on our billboard. So that's the whole premise, is that they've made this anime club basically to produce animation, not to necessarily just watch movies and appreciate it. And their school doesn't really know. And they're like, well, we kind of just have to get them to let us do it anyways, somehow or another. And it's just, like I said earlier, it is a massive love letter to the art of animation. And I think that in a few key sequences in the show, this may or may not be on purpose. It seems really likely that it is on purpose to me, because if you look at the images and then compare them to their real life counterparts, how could it not be?
Yeah.
There are a few different stills that they reference in the show, not stills, but like scenes that they reference in the show that look very much like they're supposed to be evocative of animation film greats like Hayao Miyazaki's works. Mm-hmm. There are a few in particular that look like they could be combinations of Castle in the Sky, or Kiki's Delivery Service, because the characters aren't exactly in that Studio Ghibli style, but they're really, really close, and the scenes that they follow have that look and feel of a Studio Ghibli movie, specifically a Hayao Miyazaki movie. So I think that that's something that they're really trying to get across, is that they're very much appreciating who came before them, like the makers of this show, who came before us, where did animation come from, what techniques did our forebears use before they had digital access. So something else that the show does that I really love is it goes into really nice detail about the techniques used in 2D animation.
That's cool.
Like they discuss the kinds of equipment you need. They discuss how you can make scenes actually appear to be in motion when they're not really in motion. So there's actually a fair amount of technical stuff in there. And the way that they approach these technical sequences is fantastic. So the show is already anime, it's animation, but then when they go into these animated scenes that the girls themselves are creating, it's like this pan out from the real world into the concept art. Like they go into like the moving concept art. They're moving images that they themselves have created, and it just becomes this different animation style that often looks like a sketch, or it'll look like a painted scene that they've done for one of their concept arts, but they're moving in it, as people. So it's just this really interesting blend of like fantasy and reality within the same show, and it just has a playful style and like such a feeling of ambition and hope. And I think that it's just a really fantastic show to watch for anyone, but especially anyone that has grown up with anime and loves it and wants to learn more about kind of where it comes from. So keep your hands off Eizouken. The director of the anime is Masaki Yuasa. I am 90% sure that I am saying that right. Hang on, I pulled it up. Oh, dear God, please let me be right. Yes, Masaki Yuasa. You might know Masaki Yuasa from some of his really famous works like Devil May Cry, Devil May
Cry's a video game.
No. Devilman Crybaby.
Okay.
There we go. I always get the names reversed in my head. Devilman Crybaby, which came out a few years ago and garnered a lot of reception. I hated it. Didn't watch it at all. But the animation was amazing.
Yeah.
And I wish that I had liked the show's content because it was so pretty to watch. But I was like, no.
Not about it.
No, not about it. But he also did Mind Game. He's done a lot of the Tatami Galaxy. In my head, I say Tatami Galaxy, so I can't obviously say that on here and have anybody expect to understand me. But he is well known for a lot of different works, and then the manga on which the show is based is by. Here we go. I had that pulled up just a second ago. The series is by Sumita Owada. So it was a manga first. I think it came out in 2016, and I believe it's finished. And there's like maybe 20 volumes total.
I was going to ask if
ones.
the manga was still going on too.
No, I think it's concluded. And the anime, I believe, is only projected to be 12 total episodes.
Oh.
So it's going to be like a short ride.
Yeah, an abridged. Or not an abridged, but like a mini series almost.
Exactly, yes. So the point is, Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken is fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend to everyone. The opening song, Easy Breezy by Chemico, is phenomenal. I sing it in my head all the time, and it actually has a really nice music video that goes along with it. So Easy Breezy, look it up on YouTube. It's a super popular song. You'll love it.
Cool.
Let's keep your hands
I'll
off
put that
Eizouken.
in the end of this episode.
Just pop it in.
Even though we don't have technically a soundtrack spotlight for this part,
It's such a good song.
We'll play it. We'll play it. So we'll play some Easy Breezy. But that's really cool.
Anime.
I really like that. That's how it's an anime. That's a love letter to anime and stuff like that. And I think that's a really cool concept.
I love that kind of
Would be a really
stuff.
fun show.
Yeah.
Wish I was into anime more.
If you don't currently have a Crunchyroll account, or it might be streaming on other services
Hit up
too.
Mogan for her login information.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. For a mere $10 a month, I'll let you use my password. I assume that eventually, once they're done simulcasting it, it will become a little bit more readily available. Oh, it is currently only in Japanese. So there's also not
Gotta
a
have
dub
those
right
subtitles.
now, so you got to watch it with subs.
Do you prefer? I was going to ask. Do you have a preference on sub or dub?
I tend to prefer the subs just because I already need subtitles, even if it's in English, because I can't hear that well. So it's like, why not just watch it in Japanese? I'm already going to be reading the subtitles.
Because that's almost like, I remember like when I was a kid watching like the old Japanese Godzillas. Those obviously we watched dub versions because I wasn't trying to read or anything then. But now, obviously, as I've grown and like watched more foreign film and everything, I much prefer to read subtitles than have a dubbed version.
I just think that for most shows that originate in Japanese, I like to experience what voices they gave to those characters first, because I feel like depending on who voices a character, even if it's the same dialogue, it can pretty dramatically change their tone and of how you perceive them.
Well, and because it's like, too, they're trying to, in some instances, copy the performance of the original performer, so it doesn't necessarily match or like feel like it, or just feels off as what the original could be.
I'm not anti-dub. I just don't normally watch them.
Yeah.
I will usually watch the Japanese. The only exception is like the old 90s anime dubs, because those are amazing. We'll talk about those someday. I've got like a backlog of anime.
Of all these anime ones we're gonna run through.
This is basically going to be like Mogan's Anime Corner, and we're just going to talk
Cool.
about
And
anime.
okay, perfect. So Team Chit Chat has now found it's found its mode. Mogan's episodes are going to be anime centered. Mine will just be Star Wars centered.
Yours
We're
just
good.
gonna be Star Wars.
We're good.
We're
We
good.
found it. I hope everybody loves that because
With
that's what it's going to be from now
occasional
on.
board game peppered in,
Yes.
because I love board games.
Yes.
Anyways.
But there we go.
Weebs
So
are the best.
So what was one more time the name of the show?
Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken.
And the song that we're going to have at the end is Easy Breezy.
It's Easy Breezy by Chemico.
Boom. There we have it.
Chelmico? Don't worry about it.
I don't know.
And close the episode.
Well, thanks for joining us for this third episode of Team Chit Chat. Not Team Chat Podcast. She threw me off from the beginning. But Team Chit Chat. We'll see you in a couple weeks for another episode.
Easy breezy, easy breezy, easy breezy, easy breezy. はい始まったからまたからかった奴らは部下に行っちゃった誰に頼まれたわけ